The relationship between shellfish, sanitation, and water quality, that's pretty basic. Everybody understands that clean water equals safe shellfish, and that's because they're filter feeders. That's been discussed many times throughout the presentations given. But what is clean water? So clean water means low to no levels of fecal coliform bacteria, so no poop in the water. That's what we're looking for, and that's because if you get poop in your mouth, you can get sick. And people always say, but it's not human poop. Well, you're not going to lick the butt of a goose either, so it doesn't really matter. So identifying pollution sources, we have lots of tools that we use: shoreline survey, water quality sampling, neighbor complaints. That's a good one. We get a lot of leads that way. Microbial source tracking, which Steve Jones had talked about during the discussion earlier this morning. Dye studies and smoke tests are used for point source pollution and pollution sniffing dogs. So those last three are in blue because they're mostly for point source pollution. So we're going to play a little game here. There's two kinds of pollution sources, point and non-point. So what do you think this is? Everybody raise your hand and think of the point source. Smartest people in the room. How about this one? Point source. I'll give you a hint. This is a septic system. That's not working. Point source. That's right. How about this one? Non-point. Yep. This one. Non-point. That's right. You guys are great. Y'all pass. All right. So animal sources of pollution. There's a few different categories: domestic pets, wildlife, which includes mammals and birds, and then livestock. I didn't get into the livestock too much because my staff indicated to me that a lot of times people think it's livestock issues, but very infrequently do we actually find out that there's a big issue with, say, a farm or a pasture or something like that. So here's some stories about domestic pets. In Lemoyne Beach, dogs were identified as a source, signs were put up and bags were provided, and they reopened 26 acres in 2017. Long Cove Deer Isle, dogs were identified as a source, signs put up, bags provided. They reopened 38 acres in 2019. In Waldoboro, as part of a larger effort, it was a huge effort, and if you've been to other Shellfish Focus days, you've heard some of the stories. But one of their efforts that they did was they banned dogs in 3 public spaces in 2016, and through all of their efforts, their conditional area was dramatically reduced. So 2 or 3 days worth of droppings from a population of about 100 dogs can contribute enough bacteria to temporarily close about 20 miles of coastline or bay area. I'm not sure how accurate that translation of dog poop to miles closed is, but 23 million fecal coliform bacteria per gram of dog poop is pretty powerful stuff. I mean, I think a lot of people think the ocean dilutes everything, and it's not really that big deal, that big of a deal. What's a dog turd on the beach? But it really can close areas, and people should take it seriously. So what to do about domestic animal waste? Aggressive programs to enforce pet cleanup. Signage is often not enough, but providing signs, bags, and bins is important because people don't want to carry that little bag home. Educate people, ban pets from sensitive areas, and work with state agencies like DMR and DEP to try and improve the situation. So here's some stories about wildlife. Joy Bay, Stu Bend, geese identified as a source. In 2016, they were removing the geese. That means they reopened 45 acres in 2017 and another 34 acres in 2020. Cottles Cove, Swans Island. Raccoon latrines are a thing. That's what I learned. And the State Fish and Wildlife Department confirmed that there were raccoon latrines in the area that they wanted to reclassify. They didn't take any action, but we did add water quality stations to try and at least reduce the closure, but we do think that's the cause of it. Johns River in Bristol, South Bristol, beaver was suspected as a source. In 2016, they removed 7, but there was no improvement in water quality. One thing I think I remember Steve Jones telling me at a meeting was beavers get blamed a lot and often aren't the cause necessarily. So Canada geese are the cause often. They were scarce population-wise. Canada geese were scarce in the 1800s, and then a boom began in the 1960s. And a lot of it has to do with because they do very well with human development. So resident and non-resident populations have been established, and one goose can produce 2 pounds of poop a day. That's a lot. And 50 geese can defecate about 2.5 tons a year, and they go every 20 minutes, just in case you're wondering. That graph in the corner shows you the increase in population, goose population in North America. So if you think you're seeing a lot more geese, you are. And it tends to be the resident populations that are causing the problems because they're there all the time. So what to do? One, make sure it is the wildlife that's contributing to the problem. Don't go killing things that you don't need to. Check on permitting. If you are going to remove or haze wildlife, there is a lot of permitting that's usually required. Work with state and federal agencies, cull and remove. You can haze them, just try to get them to go away. Chemical treatments, I don't know how well they work. Physical barriers, visual deterrents, habitat modifications. I've been told that if you let long grass grow up by the water source, geese don't like it anymore. And consider social political factors. We've had some towns who have removed geese, and the people in town were not too happy about that. So note for aquaculture, in 2019 revision of the NSSP model ordinance, you are going to have to consider mitigation or deterrents to minimize the pollution impact of birds or mammals. Carol alluded to the impact that birds can have on aquaculture lease sites. It's going to be included in a written operations plan, and we will help aquaculturists get that developed. For municipal programs, if you're going to have an area that's downgraded, that we've notified you that it's going to become restricted, you can consider an abatement closure. And what that does is it doesn't allow depuration into the area because you, as the town, have indicated that you know probably what the pollution source is and that you have funds and resources to try and address it. So that is my very quick spiel on animal poop.